Good afternoon, everyone, or actually good evening. Okay, I will give it a few minutes for people to hop on, and I hope you can hear me. Please let me know where you are from. Comments in the comment section, and we will get started here shortly. I am really excited to be here. This is the first time I am teaching something just a little bit different, only because I like to teach on things that I am doing and experiencing, and I like to share it with the people that want to learn how to grow their businesses in the clinical research space and what it's like to actually build a business from the grassroots and the process and the duration it takes, milestones, lessons learned as I'm going through this process. So I like to give you all as much as I can what it's like in real time to actually build a business and actually some of the things that I come across. Of course, I don't give out all my little juicy details because most of this is part of my business model, but I do like to share with you what I have come across and what has been shared with me. That's what we're going to do today. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to be talking about how to become a certified business owner in the clinical research industry. So, what is called is WMBE, Woman Minority. Let's see, Woman and Minority Business Enterprise Certification Process. And then this is a masterclass for founders, site owners, and consultants. I will give you a little bit of background for myself. Again, I have new followers. I am the CEO of Clinical Science Research Solutions. You guys know my name is Alicia Moore, and I also have a nonprofit organization called I Am Research and Wellness Foundation. And I thought it was very important for me to share this certification process that I'm actually going through right now because it's not really discussed in the clinical research industry. At least I have not heard of it. I mentioned before on a couple of my videos, my mom actually introduced me to this certification process. And a few months ago, I think maybe a year ago, and then we revisited the conversation this year. And then I will say, as of today, I'm past the preliminary approval process and I'm at the second step, if you will. So for today, who is this actually for? Clinical research founders, site owners, consultants, research adjacent service providers. And this is for individuals that is wanting to learn more about the certification process and how it functions in the clinical research space and how it will benefit you as a business owner. Now, I will go on to say that nothing is guaranteed, just like with anything else. However, I do know of some people and some success stories and proof that having this certification really will excel your business and increase your visibility. And we'll get into more reasons as to why that is. But today, our learning objectives, we're going to define what is WMBE, why does it even exist, how procurement uses it, how it supports long-term business positioning. Now, I want to remind you, this is an informational and strategic masterclass. We're not going through the application process, the walkthrough, that will come in due time. And again, I also like to emphasize, I like to share where I am in the process and then still give you some more information as I go along the way or as I'm finding it as it pertains to where I am in this stage in this process. And if you're live, please, if you're here, go ahead and place your comments in the comment section and let me know, have you heard of this certification before? And if so, have you applied and how has it helped you? And what benefits did you see? Okay. I want to know And everybody let me know in the comments, why is this not talked about in this in the clinical research space? If it is, who's talking about it? I haven't seen anybody on the platform. Now, mind you, I've only been in the industry, it'll be 5 years next year, but I still haven't heard anybody talk about this. I've only heard it discussed, of course, with my mother, and she does not work in the clinical research space at all. If it is talked about, we're just not aware of it, like I was not. But maybe if you do know about it, you don't have like the full knowledge of how the certification process works, or maybe you don't, it's misunderstood on how it's reviewed, verified, and used. And again, you're not aware of the actual opportunity. Now, if you're coming on right now and you have not registered for this webinar, I urge you to register for the webinar. You will have access to the replay. I'm going to upload it in Thinkific, where it's going to be in all one spot. And then also, newsflash, if you will, and kind of a surprise, it's going to place you on the interest waiting list for the upcoming WMBE retreat. And I'm hoping to have that, well, more details to come. But if you go ahead and register, we'll get you on the waiting list. And then you'll know all about the retreat. The retreat is going to be fun, exciting, more information. It's going to be more of an execution process on a little bit more of a deeper dive. And again, I'm sharing this as I go along. And of course, more information to come. But make sure you register using the link that I have provided for this event. And also, I can provide it in the comment section a little later on. Let's go ahead and define the certification. What this means is it's a woman and minority-owned business certification, formal verification process. It confirms the ownership, control, and operational authority of a business by an eligible individual. They want to make for sure that you are a minority, you are a woman, you own at least 51% of your business. You are the authority as far as making the decision in your business, and it's operational and independently controlled. The certification requires documentation review and is issued by authorized certifying bodies. Email going off. And it is limited and subject to renewal. Now, I know for Missouri, the certification, you have to renew it, I think, every year. And it's important to keep up with the renewal. And as far as with the documentation, I'll get into that a little later. There are a lot of documents you have to submit. It's well worth it, but it does take time. That's for tomorrow's topic, but we'll get into it later. Why does this certification exist? It exists to support supplier diversity and tracking. And I also want to go on and say that the government has set aside a percentage, at least 5% of these particular contracts, and it is mandated by law that corporations do businesses with certified minority business owners. And it goes for the men too, but I'm talking to my ladies right now. It is mandated that corporations, they actually do businesses with minorities. And so if you're not aware of that, just know that that's a thing, and it's not something that they're saying, oh, just get this certification and, you'll get these opportunities. No, the government has mandated and said you have to do business with minority groups so they can have the opportunity to grow their businesses, and so they can have the opportunity to, generate revenue, and then not just share their services, but actually execute their services, not just within the realm. Let me say, like in the clinical research space, maybe I want to extend my services to academic institutions. So that is definitely a thing. So again, the certification exists to support supplier diversity and tracking, equitable access to contracting opportunities, standardized vendor verification. Government agencies, corporations, health systems, and academic institutions use this certification to identify eligible vendors. As I mentioned before, they want to know who you are and if you're actually a minority. And one of the ways they verify is by your birth certificate. Um, you they want to make sure that you meet internal and regulatory diversity benchmarks, and report supplier diversity spend. Certification functions as a verification tool and not a performance that's guaranteed. And again, everybody, make sure you post your questions in the comment section. I will get to them at the end. Let's see here. So, what procurement means in clinical research? It is a formal process by which the organizations identify, evaluate, approve, and contract with external vendors to support research. And to my surprise, there are organizations in the clinical research industry that actually will do business with you if you have the WMBE certification. I was actually shocked. And it's clear on their website. If you have this certification, then you are eligible to bid on contracts. And that's something we'll get into later. So again, I've seen it, it's applicable to sponsors, CROs, health systems, academic institutions, and select vendors for services such as site operations, staffing and workforce development, training and education, recruitment and retention, data and technology solutions, and consulting or regulatory support. Procurement exists to ensure vendors meet compliance, risk, financial, and operational standards before contracts are awarded. And just to remind you again, for anybody that's coming on, make sure you have registered for this event. And it also places you on the waiting list for the WMBE retreat that we are going to plan for next year. I'm going to make this a little bigger. What procurement emphasizes when certification is involved? It's a risk mitigation. Again, they are making sure that your business is legit, you are who you say you are, and you actually have the documentation to prove that you have an operational business. Step two, one of the things that they do is it emphasizes is regulatory and compliance preparedness. As I alluded to a few minutes ago, verify ownership and control of your business, financial transparency. That's when you're going to be giving them like your financial documents, and that's like your W-2, Schedule C. They're going to want to know that. And let's see here, at least 2 to 3 years. If you've been in business for 2 to 3 years, they're going to want to see those tax returns. Step 5, documentation integrity. Again, and I'll highlight this tomorrow. There's one document you're going to have to make sure it's an affidavit that is actually certified. So I went to the UPS store and I got all that information together, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. So the WMBE certification supports procurement by providing third-party verification. The third-party verification is, again, you're going through the state like Missouri, they have the application process right there on their website, and it's free. Make sure that you're going to the correct one. Now, it may be different for different states. I can't think, there's one state, I think they charge like $250 to get certified, but I do know for Missouri, it doesn't cost you a thing. The certification supports procurement by providing third-party verification, reducing the burden on buyers to independently validate ownership and control claims. This is important in regulated industries where vendor risk is closely managed. And also, the actual corporations, they're not having to go through the list of verifying whether you are valid or not. That would be way too much of a burden for them. That's the reason why the third-party vendors exist. So, certification as a credibility and marketing signal. Whenever you have been certified, you can actually take like the logo and add it to like your website, your LinkedIn profile, because right now you're showing credibility. Your decision makers can actually see that you are actually certified. And from what I've seen, whenever I went to sam.gov I think it was sam.gov, to see if, like, what other businesses are actually certified in this industry. And I saw some of their stability or capability statements, and some of their capability statements, it went directly to their website, and it looked absolutely amazing and clear as to what they have to offer. But again, what they did was they actually had WMBE certification, the logo on their statements, capability statements, and actually on their website. So it provides, a huge digital confirmation, and it reduced the friction, as far as confirming whether you're certified, and you're actually, being truthful about it. Hopefully you're not going around using the logo and you haven't been certified at all. The certification does not replace relationships or performance, but it does create trust in the early evaluation stages and even beyond. All right, my circles look a little off here. Again, you all post your questions in the comment section, or whenever you go back to look at the replay, um, post your questions then, and I might do it like a large Q&A. It just depends. So we're going to talk about what this certification verifies and what it does not verify. Check mark here, green check mark. It verifies the legitimate ownership, that you are the business owner, as again, you own like at least 51% of your business as a minority entrepreneur. You actually have control over your business, operational control. It certifies the documented business activity, and it also certifies eligible criteria defined by the certifying body. And again, whenever you go to the website, it will tell you the exact documents that you need in order to start the certification process. And I will emphasize that the certification process takes like 60 to 90 days. However, you can actually start getting your capability statements ready, which is something that I'm working on right now. And I think there's RFP, and we'll get into that later. You can get that ready as you're going through and waiting for them to approve you for the certification. Service quality, here we go. Service quality, clinical expertise, revenue potential, and guarantee contracts. You should already know the quality of services that you have to offer for your B2B clients. You all, I preach on that all the time. I'm huge on serving B2B clients. Your clinical expertise. Oh, people are going to know if you are the expert in the clinical research space. So don't fake the funk. It does not verify potential. Again, on day 4, we'll actually talk about the revenue potential. Nothing is a guarantee, but having the certification, as my mother told me, will help you gain those contracts a lot better and quicker if you don't have it. And guaranteed contracts. Again, it's not guaranteed, but the probability of you getting a contract is very, very high. Again, not making any promises, but I am telling you from my experience, not necessarily my experience, but from the experience of others that I've talked to, it does help out quite a bit. And also, you have to think this is creating another revenue for you. Of course, I work my day job. However, in order to keep things afloat, that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur. And then you're creating another stream of revenue, or another potential, or another opportunity to make more money. God forbid, your day job just happens to flop, So either way, you have the revenue potential. And then again, it's helping you grow your business, and it's actually helping you grow as an entrepreneur as well. Okay. Here is the high level overview of the certification process. So, what this includes is you filling out the application and submitting the required documents. There is a preliminary review to confirm like all the documents that you have is completed and what they need, right? So, say for instance, for me, I submitted my documents on December the 2nd, and by December the 12th, which was what, last Friday, I believe, you all check the calendar. I received a notification saying like, "Hey, we can't go through the rest of the process here. We're missing a document," and the document was the bank authorization form. And the mistake that I made, here we go with lessons learned, is I took an actual screenshot of the bank statement. I blotted out like my bank account and what was in it, and just had like my address, my name, Clinical Science Research Solutions. That's what I had on there. And I think like the dates of like that bank statement, and that's not what they want. They want actual documents that say, that's got the bank's header on it, and it's stating that you are you're authorized or you have control over that bank account. So if you have to receive an email saying, "Hey, we can't go through this process," they're going to tell you which documents they're going to need, and you have 30 days to reconcile that issue. And so I reconciled that issue the same day. So I ran to the bank on Friday. I got two bank statements, if you will, authorization statements stating like, "Hey, I am the owner of this account and it's legit." I actually called the organization just to make sure I was on point with everything. And she said, "Hey, the only thing that we need is this bank authorization form." And as I said, I ran to the bank, came back, I uploaded the documents into the Missouri website. And after I sent it through, I went back and I called them, and to make for sure, I'm like, "Hey, I just sent this through. Is this something that will suffice?" She said, "Yep, we just received it. And honestly, everything looks good. And that was the only thing that we needed from you." So I went from the preliminary approval stage, and now I'm at the second part. And the second part, um, for number 3, is a substantive review evaluating ownership, control, and operations. Once that process has been passed, then it goes on to a virtual or on-site interview, which is about 15 to 30 minutes to confirm documentation that reflects the actual business operations. Now, this clarification request is common and it's part of the normal review process. So, she did tell me, because I asked, some more questions, what happens after I've been approved after this first step. She told me about the second step. And then she told me about the third step. She said the third step, it just depends upon the availability of the individual that's over this part. And I think that's the reason why it takes 60 to 90 days. But like this first step took 10 days. So the third step, I will keep you all posted and let you know. And again, I will repeat, make sure you have registered for this 4-day masterclass, and it's going to actually put you on the waiting list for our upcoming WMBE retreat. Timing matters. This is just not some on-demand course that you take or on-demand certification that you take. I feel like it's necessary for you to get this certification as a business owner. Um, the applications, it requires preparation, review, and verification. It's not just a one and done. It's not for you to just slap things together. You really have to be organized during this process. And it will actually show where there's some gaps, what applications or what documents you actually need. Again, it gives you the correct documentation issues. So if there are any issues, they'll let you know. That's not a secret. At least that's from my experience. And then also preparing early, it allows businesses to align records before opportunities arise. I'm looking to see. I don't see any comments yet. Okay, again, you all post your comments. And if you have experience with this, let me know. How did it go for you? Okay, so this masterclass, I wanted to give you all something that you can actually take and implement in your business today. And the action item I'm going to give to you is this is going to help you conduct a certification review if you're ready. It's going to confirm whether your business, you can clearly demonstrate that you're ready for this process, right? So I want you to think about, do you have a legal formation and do you have ownership of your business? Are you able to demonstrate that ownership? Remember earlier on, I talked about you have to own at least 51% of your business and you have to be the decision maker within that business that you have. And that goes on to step 2. Step 3, do you have a separation of your business and personal finances? As a newer entrepreneur, sometimes you don't open up the bank, at least for me, you don't open up the bank account until later. And all your personal finances and your business finances are mixed all together, which can be a real hot mess. But if you haven't started now, just hear me out. Whenever you open up your business, make sure you have all that stuff separated. That way, whenever you get ready to file your taxes, Schedule C, all that, it's real nice and clear, neat and clean. And again, they're going to want to see your W-2s for at least the last 2 or 3 years. Again, it also depends upon the state that you're in. Different states require different things. And of course, documented operations. Now, the application submission is not required today, but this is going to help prepare you for day 2 session, which is tomorrow. So let's recap for today. We established the definition of the WMBE certification. We talked about why it exists. We also talked about how procurement uses it and what it verifies. So tomorrow, we're going to talk about, the required documents, proof of ownership and control, identity verification, and the business legitimacy requirements. And you guys, if you don't have all that stuff together right now, it does take a little bit to get all that information in one spot, if you will. But once you're done, it's totally worth it. So, in closing today, for day 3, we're going to focus on how LinkedIn visibility, I preach on this constantly. It's one of my go-tos. How it strengthens the impact of certification by supporting digital credibility and procurement research. Day 4, we're going to talk about the revenue blueprint, which includes the ranges of potential revenue opportunities. And I'm going to show you some examples of opportunities, not just in the clinical research industry, but you're going to see what these contracts or what the, not vendors, but what the corporations are looking for and actually how much you can bid on some of these contracts. I think, a lot of times the bigger the organizations, the higher the bid. Of course, that comes with more work. In realistic ways, certified businesses monetize visibility and eligibility. And again, it doesn't necessarily guarantee revenue, but it does expand access, eligibility, and opportunity. And again, it's not a guarantee, but the possibilities are really endless. As I said before, my mother doesn't work in the clinical research industry, but she does have the WMBE certification. And food for thought, I think she let her certification lapse or something like that. And she thought she could just go on her merry way without the certification and get these contracts. She was sadly mistaken. It was a lot harder for her to get the contracts that she has now. And what she did was she had to hurry up and get recertified. And by the time she was recertified and they knew that she had the WMBE certification, then her getting the contracts was a lot easier. So just keep that in mind. And she's doing quite well. Now I'm going to open the floor up to questions. We are at 5:30, 30-minute mark. And I really don't want these master classes to be very, very long at all. I don't want to lose the attention span of my viewers. And then whenever I upload it into Thinkific, it won't be so boring. Okay. I'm going to exit out of here. I'm going to see if there are any questions. Does anyone have any questions? Be sure to watch the replay. I'm excited to do this webinar, you all. I'll just wait. Let's see who's on. And also, I do these LinkedIn lives like after work, and I know it may not align with everybody else's schedule, but it aligns with mine. But the beauty of it is you can go back and watch the replay. I know a lot of times some people are getting off work at 5 o'clock. Maybe they're stuck in traffic or it takes them a while to get home. But please, please, please go back and watch the replay and make sure you put your questions in the chat. Okay. It is 5:31. I will wait just a few more minutes for questions. And then if you don't have any questions, this will conclude today's session and I will see you on day 2. Great session, by the way. Okay. All right, everyone. I will see you tomorrow. Day 2.